be back home, if even for a short 4-day homestand against the National League West leading Dodgers. Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports on a hot, muggy night from beautiful Wrigley Field. Great to have you with us, Jim DeShays and Len Casper. Couple of playoff contenders and some great storylines. Let's start with the first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, Adrian Gonzalez. Both should be on the All-Star team.
Yeah, a lot of star power in this series, and it starts at first base. Paul Goldschmidt is the best player in the National League, arguably so far this year, but both these guys really making their cases to be on the All-Star team. Adrian Gonzalez got off to a great start. 8 of his 12 home runs came in April. Anthony Rizzo has just been rock solid, steady as she goes all year long. OPS up over 1,000, one of only 4 players in Major League Baseball to make that claim.
A lot of young, exciting players around the National League, and 2 of the best on display tonight.
Yeah, Chris Bryant struggled a little bit on the road trip. He's been much better here at home. Hopefully he can get something going, and we're really intrigued by young Jock Peterson, a tremendous defender out in center field. He leads all rookies with 18 home runs.
Left-hander Tsuyoshi Wada for the Cubs, and probably the guy you'd consider the best pitcher on the planet right now, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. We'll have Cubs baseball next. We are just about set for action here tonight. We'll get the Dodger lineup in a moment. Lefty night on the mound. Tsuyoshi Wada facing the Dodgers for the 3rd time in his young career. Even though he's 34 years old, just his 2nd season in the big leagues. Clayton Kershaw pitching for the Dodgers.
Yeah, so if you're Tsuyoshi Wada, you take the mound tonight knowing you're up against it a little bit with this Dodger lineup. The wind blowing out, and Clayton Kershaw pitching for Los Angeles, so you're aware of it, and then you just blank it all out and say, okay, just go do your thing. And last time out, he did his thing Very well. That was in Cleveland. The 17-0 beatdown that the Cubs put on the Indians. He went 7 shutout innings in that ball game.
Wada was actually ready to start the game about a minute before the scheduled game time, so they held him up briefly. His first pitch to Yasiel Puig is a fastball, swung on and missed. And tonight's weather, and a chance of rain, but hopefully not. It's humid for sure, and the southwest wind means it's blowing straight out to center field.
What's Tom doing out there on the field? Off the field, Tom.
Puig, an all-star last year, recently moved up to the leadoff spot. Just his 26th game this season. Had some DL time with a hamstring strain, missed 39 games. JD, he is 24 out of 47. Is like he tweaked his left hand. 24 out of 47 against Cubs pitching in his career. That's a .511 batting average. Yikes.
Yeah, so he's feeling pretty good about things. To multi-hit games every time he has played here at Wrigley Field, and that left hand is bothering him. Not sure what's going on there, but
seems to have gotten stung by something on one of those first swings. High fly ball out into center. It's Dexter Fowler. So we'll keep an eye on Puig the rest of the night.
Bleeding through his glove.
Huh.
Ripped a callus open or something.
Good times. Now Jock Peterson.
That glove will be available at Dodgers.com. You can get it for $250, I'm guessing.
It's like the Kurt Schilling bloody sock. Strike called. Peterson very much in the mix for the National League Rookie of the Year. Among all players, 5th in the National League in homers, 3rd in walks, 6th in on-base percentage, 7th in slugging. And that's just the offensive stuff. He has made a lot of headlines with his defense out in center field as well. 1 ball, 1 strike on him. Didn't mean to. Checked his swing and fouled it off. 1-2.
I heard Vin Scully the other day say that Jock Peterson's the best center fielder he's ever seen in a Dodger uniform. Look out for the wall, young man.
That was a game saver in San Diego recently. And he has hit some very long home runs as well. Had a 5-game home run streak earlier this season, but it won't happen this time as he takes a called 3rd strike. And let's get the rest of the Dodger lineup written out by Don Mattingly. They got in late or early this morning, however you'd like to put it, after a night game against the Giants in which they won last night. Justin Turner coming up next, then Gonzalez. Howie Kendrick, the former Angel. Scott Van Slyke gets the start in left. Kike Hernandez at short for Jimmy Rollins. A.J. Ellis normally catches Clayton Kershaw, and that is the case this evening. So here is Turner, and he hits the first pitch on the ground right to Starlin Castro, and Wada works a 1-2-3 opening inning. Clayton Kershaw gets the Cubs bats next. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Dexter Fowler, great numbers against Clayton Kershaw. Hit a grand slam yesterday in Minnesota. Anthony Rizzo had a huge weekend, a very good trip. Chris Bryant looking for his first hit in 4 games. Starlin Castro in the cleanup spot. Chris Denorfia will play right. Matt Caesar back once again from AAA Iowa to replace Kyle Schwarber. David Ross will catch for Wada batting 8th. Russell, the second baseman, hitting 9th.
Set the Dodgers defensively for you. They've committed just 29 errors, second fewest in the National League. We showed you Peterson out there in center. He's got Van Slyke and Puig alongside. Turner, Hernandez, Kendrick, and Gonzalez on the infield. Adrian Gonzalez has won 4 Gold Gloves. A.J. Ellis does the catching. And Clayton Kershaw, still just 27 years of age. MVP last year, 4-time All-Star, 3 Cy Youngs. You saw the numbers on Kershaw, rather pedestrian by his standards. Most other guys would be thrilled to have those numbers. But over his last 5 starts, he's been Clayton Kershaw, 3-1 with a 1.56 ERA in those 5 ball games.
He's from Dallas, Texas, 6'4", 225, and the curveball is over on Fowler for a strike.
Fowler's less impressed than most against Kershaw. He's got very good numbers against the lefty.
Fowler has been a better right-handed hitter than from the left side in his career. So all the damage done against Kershaw batting right-handed for Dexter. And here comes the 1-2 offering. And this time Kershaw wins the battle. Keeping an eye on Yasiel Puig. He needs some help with that hand. Needs a wrap or something. He wants a new glove.
Glove, because he really likes that one. He doesn't want to get blood on it.
Now Anthony Rizzo. So we did the Rizzo-Gonzalez comparison in the open. Interestingly enough, they were once traded for one another. Rizzo from Boston to San Diego, where he briefly took over for Gonzalez as the Padres first baseman, and then was dealt to the Cubs. Gonzalez went to Boston and then eventually moved to the Dodgers. And there have been comparisons made between the two. Talk to some people about Anthony Rizzo, and they say, yeah, it kind of reminds me of Gonzalez. I think the Joey Votto comp maybe works a little better, but I'm in. There's a little Adrian Gonzalez. The opposite field power. Glove work at first.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell just with his body language in this confrontation with Kershaw, he's jacked up for this one here tonight. It's an extreme challenge. Kershaw with a plus fastball, very good breaking stuff, slider and a curveball. He has a changeup, but he rarely uses it. And because of that unorthodox delivery, there's a fair bit of deception there too.
If he gets to double digits in strikeouts tonight, he would join Sandy Koufax. And Hideo Nomo, there's a base hit out into right. Puig's going to have to charge after it, as Rizzo will settle for a single. If Kershaw strikes out 10 tonight, he'll join Koufax and Nomo as the only LA Dodger pitchers with 4 straight starts of at least 10 punch-outs. And the Cubs, as we know, strike out a fair amount. His job on the curve.
Great at bat by Rizzo. He went into battle mode early there against Kershaw. He stayed back on the 2-strike curveball. Continuing the good work after an outstanding road trip.
Here's Chris Bryant. He's 0 for his last 14 after a hot stretch. 0 for 13 at Minnesota.
0 for Minnesota. He will not be in a hurry to go back to Minnesota. He's been far better here at home than he's been on the road this year. His OPS at home is up over 1,000.
Kershaw almost appears to just kind of fall toward home plate from a stretch.
Break down home and road for Chris, a 326 batter here with 5 long ones. Cubs have played more games on the road than they have at home. 18-13 here at Wrigley this year.
Short lead by Rizzo. Doesn't mean he won't run at some point. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Probably would need more than 9 innings to go through all the honors, accolades, and achievements like Clayton Kershaw. But the number one thing to mention, he has led the majors in ERA each of the last 4 years. That is the first time a pitcher has ever done that. And you go back to 1920. Pitchers with at least 100 starts and 1,000 innings. He has the lowest ERA ever. Better than Whitey Ford and Sandy Koufax. 2-2.
Better even than Pud Galvin. 2 years ago, he finished 16-9 with a 183 ERA. And he said, well, you could probably win more than that, but what, do better than 183? Not likely. Followed it up with a 177 last year.
The pitch would take its full 3-2 on Bryant.
Cubs got to him in his start here. He only lasted 5 innings. They made him throw a lot of pitches. Gave up 3 runs. He got a ton of run support though. And was a winner, 14-5, I believe.
You know what I remember about that start?
We were out there in right field.
We were, yeah. Rizzo not running, and that one is bounced foul to third.
Punching out 9, but the Cubs saw a lot of pitches. Got him out after 5.
You can see already working up a good sweat.
Oh, it's at least a 3 t-shirt night here. Maybe even a 3 jersey night. No move, no flinching down there allowed. First guy to move loses.
Well, I'm sure Kershaw pitched on a few nights like this in high school down in Texas. Swing and a miss on a fastball at 95. Some pretty easy gas from Clayton Kershaw. 2 outs.
Yeah, and I don't know that the Cubs would go in with a specific game plan against Kershaw in terms of telling their hitters to take get outside of their regular approach, but the patient approach, forcing him to throw a number of pitches, could prove beneficial here tonight.
In terms of the conditions?
Yeah, well, hot muggy night, maybe just get into the bullpen a little bit earlier. The downside, of course, is if he's throwing strike 1 a high percentage of the time, you're immediately behind in the count.
Starlin has his average over 270 for the first time since May 24th. Winning RBI each of the last 2 nights, and he lines this one to Peterson in center. Well, very tragic, sad news in the world of baseball today. According to police in Pearland, Texas, Darrell Hamilton killed in a murder-suicide. Great guy, had a great career, and he will be missed.
banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, strike one, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
Adrian Gonzalez, 0-1. And the veteran first baseman, you mentioned in the open, off to an amazing start this year. Set a major league record according to Elias. First guy ever to hit 5 homers in the team's first 3 games of a season. And he had a big night last night against the Giants, 3 for 4 with a home run to end a 2 for 25 slump. First homer in 18 games, in fact.
The Dodgers hit 4 long balls last night that chased Tim Lincecum in the second inning, shortest outing of his career.
Waters 1-2. Hit on a bounce right to Addison Russell. Got a shot of Joe Madden earlier. Yeah, he's letting the beard grow a little bit. Going to let the hair grow instead of doing the Albert Einstein bit. And he doesn't want his players to worry about the superficial stuff.
That's kind of that's the inspiration behind it. He's just going to go all scruffy and tell them it's not important. Just come to the ballpark every day and play hard. Whatever happens, happens. Turn the page, come back the next day. Like a man with a scruffy beard.
Called strike on Howie Kendrick. Acquired from the Angels in December for pitcher Andrew Heaney. He's been a really solid player for a decade in the American League. First stint here in the NL as he bounces to first. Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Come out and enjoy baseball inside beautiful Wrigley Field. The Dodgers are back tomorrow night and Wednesday night. And the series finale will be Thursday afternoon. And tickets are still available for all 3 matchups. Visit Cubs.com to secure your seats today. And it's right back to the road. The Cubs will head to St. Louis for the weekend. And then 3 with the Mets after an off day Monday. So that's 10 in a row starting tonight against National League playoff contenders. Scott Van Slyke.
It's like recently activated off the disabled list. He had some inflammation in his back.
And he pops it up. Got to stick with it on a night like this, and Ross does, and he makes the catch. Normally the wind's going to blow that ball out of play, but they get the out. before the game from 16-year-old Christina DeVries. She's a huge Cubs fan, and you could tell a big Blackhawks fan. She can't see, but she is an inspiration. She has a lot of wisdom, a lot of energy, a lot of life, and a great singing voice,
yes,
too.
And a great spirit, boy. She was fun.
She was here with her sister, her mom, her uncle. They came up to the booth. They watched batting practice. They got to meet the manager, Joe Madden. And her family told us that her hugs give people good luck. And I got a big hug, so good things are in store. Chris Denorfia has homered 3 times off Clayton Kershaw. 3 of the 39 he has hit in his career. That's tied for the most he's hit off any big league pitcher. Kershaw allowed 4 to the recently retired Adam Dunn. He's given up 3 to Tulowitzki and 3 to Denorfia. 2 balls and a strike. There it is. It's high. And it's 3-1.
Yeah, and Kershaw might not know the exact numbers Denorfia has against him, but I guarantee you he's aware of the fact that Chris has done some damage against him.
Swing and a miss, 3-2.
Playing in a sauna tonight.
Caesar's on deck, just back from Iowa. Bounced way out in front of home plate. And Denorfia is on. Leadoff walk. So Kyle Schwarber heading back to the minor leagues, so he'll make his AAA debut maybe tonight. He had a flight there last night. And Matt Caesar already his 4th stint with the big league club. He was on the opening day roster until April 19th. He's here from May 6th through the 15th and then June 2nd through the 6th. He is on about a 9 stint pace.
Blake Parker, Brian Schlitter like.
Bounce to Turner. Kendrick can't turn it as Caesar used his speed to beat the throw. It was a high hopper to Turner. That helped out Caesar.
Good hard slide by Denorfia. Good hustle by Caesar to prevent the double play.
Fouled off by David Ross, a former Dodger.
I know we talked about this last year, but every time Kershaw comes set, I think he's getting ready to try to pick up a spare on the bowling alley. And he holds his hands. Johnny Petraglia has got that difficult 7-10 split to deal with. Tough to run on, just 6 steals and 11 tries against him. Ellis, the catcher, throws well. Doesn't mean you don't try, because it's tough to hit too. You have to find a way to generate some offense.
in the dirt. And a lot of questions about options. When you have an option, that means that particular year you can go back and forth
as many times as they want.
Yep. I guess it's strangely worded in that regard. It sounds like an option would be one trip. You have 3 such options usually, right?
Yes. Yeah, when a player signs, my understanding is he has 3 options, unless if he signs that maybe when he's 17 or something, there may be 4 options with those younger players. I think those rules may have changed a little bit over the years.
Yeah, that's one of the questions we often ask about certain players, especially at the end of spring training. Who has options left?
Right,
those guys usually get penalized.
Right, yeah, and that's just the nature of the game. The clubs are trying to protect as many players as possible. And if you have to expose a player to waivers and possibly lose him to another organization, you're going to protect that guy, and the guy that has options, even though he may have outperformed another player, you have options on him. All right, let's just park him down in AAA while we sort things out.
They are making him work. 3-2. Already over 30 pitches.
I would assume with the Dodgers playing the night game last night on the West Coast, Kershaw would have come in ahead of the ball club.
Call strike 3. Or strikeout number 3. And Cub fans, don't forget to check out Len and JD's baseball blog at WGNTV.com. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. That's the pitch, right? That's the low strike that guys seem to be getting more often here these last few years.
Yeah, well, we see a lot of them kind of below our little grid there on our pitch tracks. That one was, I think that one there has always been a strike. But we've seen a number of them down below the knees.
One and one on Wada.
It's kind of funky the way he comes set. This time he just drifts. That makes it difficult for him to run. He doesn't do that all the time. He'll do it from time to time. It's very difficult for a base runner to get a read on him.
Leadoff walk by Denorfius. Caesar took over there on a fielder's choice. Ross struck out looking. Okay, so why would he throw over?
I don't know.
When it's 1-2 on the pitch.
Right. I think there's no way Caesar's running here.
Strike 3 called, and the inning is over after 2-0. opportunity. Dexter Fowler with an 8th inning grand slam yesterday to put the game really out of reach. And his daughter Naya was watching back home as well. And Mom posted her reaction. Nice job, Dad.
Now come on home.
Speed Replay brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Second career grand slam for Fowler. And what a performance by Jake Arrieta. Complete game 4-hitter. Underway here in the Dodger third. Kike Hernandez the batter. Jake got stronger as the day went along.
Like a train running downhill.
That one lined into the bleachers and left for a home run. Kike Hernandez makes it 1-0 LA.
A lot of the guys there are a lot of guys, in this Dodger lineup that you worry about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Hernandez doesn't come to the front of your mind when you contemplate such things. A good solid line drive home run. The Dodgers break the ice.
It's his third on the year. As a team, they lead the National League in home runs.
Powerful swing. Didn't need any help from the wind.
So they're fourth in the NL in runs. They're first in on base, slugging, OPS, homers, and walks. One and 0. There's the second pitch in there to make it 1-1. And A.J. Ellis, 12th time he's caught Kershaw out of 15 Kershaw assignments this season. He had a couple of really solid offensive seasons, 2011 and 2012. Last year, injury plague, hit just a .191. This year at 175. He's known as a good catcher defensively.
The primary catcher, Yasmani Grandal, is one of the better offensive catchers in the game.
Ellis has always had a good eye at the plate.
Yeah, that's the other thing they do. Well, you talked about the on-base percentage. Their walk rate is the best in the National League.
Toward the hole and past Castro and into left. So the first two Dodger hits coming here in the third inning. After Wada sent down the first 6, and that'll bring up Kershaw in a bunting spot.
Wada's fastball has a natural tendency to cut. And before we go any further, we've got a little issue with Chris Pazio coming out to the mound with the trainer.
P.J. Mainville and now Masimoto will come out to interpret. So Paz and P.J. they saw something they didn't like.
Said, "Are you stiff?" Maybe this is just some body language after making a pitch.
Yeah, look, I think his velocity, JD, his fastball has been about 86 here in this inning. So that's a couple of notches below where we normally see him.
Yeah, and boy, on a night like tonight, you should be able to get loose, so that shouldn't be a problem. Sometimes the arm just doesn't respond, and you've got a little tendonitis, a little inflammation. Sometimes you're good enough to pitch, but just not good enough to pitch well. I'm not going to take any chances.
So the bullpen did not have to work at all yesterday. It's going to be a long bullpen night here tonight.
I didn't see anything immediately after that pitch. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest delivery. It looked like he pushed it a little bit.
I think it's just his velo. I think just not a lot of life on it. So it's going to be Travis Wood.
I would think they must have seen something, some kind of a.
Well, there you go. Yep. So Wood will get as much time as he needs. And hopefully nothing serious for Wada. 1-0 Dodgers.
Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way, and Brian Kelly will be along to sing the stretch. There he is delivering the first pitch. Beautifully done. Of course, the head football coach down the road there at Notre Dame.
We'd like to give a shout out, best wishes to Chicago Bulls Executive Vice President Steve Shanwald. He's stepping down after 28 years with the Bulls. Thanks for everything, Steve. And we hope to see you here at Wrigley very soon. So because of an injury, Travis Wood will get all the time he needs.
Woody did not pitch in the weekend series in Minnesota. He worked, this was the middle game of the series in Cleveland. Whatever the 18th was.
Middle game meaning?
Well, there's only two, wasn't there?
Well, there were three if you count the one here.
I don't know. He worked on the 18th, whatever that was. 3 days ago. 2 1/3, 3 hits and a run.
To get your Cubs selfies at hashtag WGN Cubs. Yeah, those guys took one, was it yesterday or the day before in Minneapolis?
They all run together, don't
I know. They? Wood will face Kershaw, who will probably try to get a bunt down with a runner at first. And nobody out.
Yeah, this is a challenge here. This is a slow-footed runner at first, a very athletic pitcher on the mound. That'll allow Rizzo to stay home and tighten up the lead a little bit for Ellis. So you may see Kershaw with a little slug bunt here.
Right back to Wood. Yelling 2-2-2, and they're going to get 2.
That was almost predictable. I'm surprised that Kershaw didn't pull the bat back and try to slap it somewhere. Go 1-6-4 on the double play. Wood on it in a hurry. The key there, just make an accurate throw, give middle infielder a chance to make the play. And it was a little bit offline, but
in the right direction, though.
Yeah. Castro with quick hands, quick feet to avoid contact. Also covering the bag. Well executed, fellas.
Little look from the first base coach's box, occupied by former Cub Davey Lopes, as Yasiel Puig will bat with 2 outs and nobody on.
You know, two ways to kind of counter that if you're the Dodgers. One, let Kershaw swing. Two, start Ellis. Do a little button run. Puig always fidgeting.
He's only 24. Third major league season, an all-star last year. And he can do some things on the field not many others can do. And as we mentioned in the first inning, he's had some huge games in this very ballpark. That got a big piece of the home plate umpire, who is Jordan Baker, by the way. Paul Emmel at first, Jerry Meals, the crew chief, at second, and Andy Fletcher's over at third.
Jordan Baker is the tallest umpire working, I believe. He's like 6'7".
You say he's the Mike Civic of Major League Baseball?
Yeah. I don't know who Mike Civic is.
Mike Civic, people will remember. Some.
You know who Mike Stivic was?
No, Civic, C-V-I-K. Someone can they want to tweet. I'll just throw it out there. See if anybody knows who that is. That's my trivia question for the night.
Civic.
I know Eddie O will know, and he's watching.
He must be a tall referee.
He is a linesman, or former linesman. I don't know if he's still working. I think he is. 6'9". He's the kind of guy you want him to break up fights.
6'9", and then you put him on skates.
Right. Outside ball 4. Eddie just texted. He got it. How tall is Tim McClellan?
Tim McClellan was very tall. I think he was about 6'6". He is retired now.
Back problems?
Mm-hmm.
Here's Peterson. His dad, Stu, was an outfielder. Big swing and a miss. 12-year career in the Dodger and Blue Jay systems. 8 games in the major leagues with LA in 1985.
That's it, huh? I'm surprised. I thought he was around a little longer than that. I remember Stu. Nice jacket, Stu.
Ball 1 strike.
This guy not afraid to turn it loose. He strikes out a lot, but he also works a lot of walks. He walked 100 times as a minor leaguer last year. He's got a walk rate better than twice league average.
Stu Mahan ever do the Dodgers?
Stu, that's for the nice jacket, Stu. That was a Spicoli line. Yeah, Stu was out there. I don't know that he ever did Dodger games, but he was out there in that market. Right? Used to see him at Dodger Stadium.
Puig runs and Peterson fouls into the upper deck.
As a matter of fact, Stu's a big hockey fan. He was, he might have been from Montreal originally.
Okay.
Some hockey in his background.
Got it all covered tonight.
It all comes together. Puig a threat to steal. Only tried once this year and he was caught. The Dodgers woeful in that department. They're actually below 500. They've stolen 14 bases and been caught 17 times. So they prefer to slug.
Cutter missed the outside corner. It's 2-2 on Peterson. Hernandez led off the inning with a home run. Wada eventually had to leave due to an apparent arm issue. If you didn't know who that guy in the dugout was or is, it's Don Mattingly. Dodger manager. 5th year as the Dodgers skipper. High payroll, high major payroll, $270 million or so, and a fair amount of it's on the DL right now. They battled some injuries, particularly on their pitching staff. Brandon McCarthy, Hyun-Jin Ryu,
done and done. Carl Crawford's on the 60-day.
Brandon League. They get Brandon Beachy back.
Yeah, they got 3 Brandons on the DL. They lead the league in that department.
Full count, 3-2.
Peterson showing that good discerning eye here.
Yeah, the interesting thing is 2 of their best performers this year. I haven't even looked at what they make, but not a whole lot. Turner and Peterson in this high payroll club.
Peterson, the emerging rookie, and Turner, the late bloomer.
Puig takes off with 2 outs, and that one is popped up, and again the wind. We'll give it a chance. No, it's going to get out of play. We should note the Dodger Cub connection and all the stuff going on in LA with their front office shakeup. Andrew Friedman is now running their baseball operations department. He was in Tampa Bay. That move allowed Joe Maddon to opt out as the Rays manager and eventually get hired by the Cubs. He walked him. So consecutive 2-out walks to bring up Turner. Turner has homered in 3 consecutive games going into tonight. Began the year as a super utility guy. Juan Uribe was their their third baseman. Uribe was traded to Atlanta in late May, and right now the Dodgers, they cannot keep Turner out of the lineup.
At 340 last year, came out of nowhere. I mean, he was always a good offensive player, good solid line drive hitter, but nothing like he did last year. And he's followed it up with an outstanding first half this year. 331 on base, 399. Got the 2nd highest line drive rate in the league. Obviously, line drives turn into hits way more than ground balls and fly balls do.
Already a career high with 9 home runs. He hit 7 last season. You know what? He's had kind of the Jake Arrieta career. Change uniforms and snap your fingers, and all of a sudden you go, whoa.
Born in Long Beach, went to Cal State Fullerton, maybe just getting back to the West Coast. I doubt it. It doesn't seem like a very reasonable thing to consider. I'm sure he enjoys it there, but it has to be more than that.
Still 0-2 on him. A fortuitous complete game by Jake Arrieta, right? After the Wada injury here in the 3rd inning. You mentioned it yesterday, being able to
save the pen, save some bullets. You never know what tomorrow will bring.
Ross now has Puig caught. Throw to second. He's out. Not sure where he was going.
Puig being Puig.
That's huge for Travis Wood. So Turner, one of the hottest hitters in baseball, will have to lead off the next inning with nobody on. 1-0 Dodgers in the 3rd.
Best matchups in baseball. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy. It's free to register. Look out. For details, visit Cubs.com/waitlist.
1-0 Dodgers on the Hernandez leadoff home run. Addison Russell, 325 over his last 12 games.
Yeah, had a very nice road trip. Some sparkling plays in the field. Really good at bats. He's really settled in nicely. He's kind of flying beneath the radar because of the presence of Chris Bryant. He too is having one fine rookie campaign, among the best in baseball. And there was a lot of good young players coming into the game.
Ball spinning in foul territory. No chance for it to get fair, so Ellis picked it up. Now 2-2. Back to the top. Fowler and Rizzo here in the third after Russell. It's 5 strikeouts. So 5 out of 9 have punched out against Kershaw.
Pretty good chance he's going to get his 4th consecutive double-digit strikeout game. There's a power slider down and in under the swing of Addison Russell. Some pretty elite company there is Clayton Kershaw. A gentleman with 3 or more size.
Yeah, right now, he would not be considered the favorite this year. But there's a long way to go. Some people just hand it to Max Scherzer based on his last 2 starts. He's 8-5 with the major league leading 176.
He might be Cy first half.
Garrett Cole be another guy. That ball driven the other way into right. So Fowler now 17 out of 40 in his career against Clayton Kershaw, batting well over 400.
Yeah, if you look at your baseball scouting book and it says Clayton Kershaw under the listing of who he hates to face, you're going to find Dexter Fowler with those numbers. Dexter, what's the big deal about Kershaw Fowler?
So Garrett Cole leads the majors in wins, 11-2 with a 178. Max Scherzer is 8-5 with a 176. He just threw a no-hitter following a 16 strikeout 1-hitter.
Greinke goes tomorrow. He's got a 181 earned run average.
There you go. So Kershaw may not even be the best Cy Young candidate on his own staff at the moment. Lifted into center. A little slip by Peterson. He has to dive to make the catch. So he actually played that into a better play. Oh, and Fowler fortunately got hit by the thrower. He would have been out. If that ball doesn't hit Dexter, I think they got him.
Yeah. Dexter took a little while to read that one to make sure the catch was made. He's out there to press his case on something. And you see the slip there by Peterson.
Maybe Peterson did that on purpose.
Yeah.
You base it on all the things we've heard about him.
That good.
He is that good. I mean, he shouldn't have had to dive, but the slip caused it. Now, there's nothing Fowler did there, is there?
No.
He just ran to the base.
Yes, he didn't see the ball. Gonzalez trying to make the case that Dexter intentionally got in front of that throw.
And he's not feeling great.
No. Milwaukee going back in. And Halber out to check on him. Busy night for the trainers. That's Never a good thing for the club. Rolled an ankle, maybe.
It's like lower left leg / ankle.
You see that a lot of center fielder retreating on a swing like that, especially with a powerful guy like Rizzo up there. So a bad read, a slip, a recovery. That leads to some confusion. And
I don't know if he did anything at the end or if the ankle was already bothering him.
Keep a close eye on him and see how he comes out of it after this half inning. And just in case he's playing possum and is perfectly healthy and thinking about running, Kershaw's going to take a shot at him.
Who used to do that? Was there somebody in the 70s? I remember somebody telling me a story about a guy who always acted like he was hurt.
Mickey Rivers had that reputation.
Okay.
Just watching Mickey walk was enough to make you think he couldn't run. He's one of the fastest guys in the league.
Was that affectation on purpose, or just?
I don't think so.
That's
just his style.
Two strikes, 2 outs. Third inning.
No. He's trying to sell it there. Jordan Baker wouldn't open up that outside corner for him. Beat him with a high heater last time.
Driven in the air out into deep right. Puig goes back on it. It is gone. That's a 2-run homer. Chris Bryant just snapped an 0 for 15.
Welcome home, big guy. He's been so much better here at Wrigley. Previous fastball just off the outside corner. Hanging breaking ball, stays through it. He's been pulling off a lot of balls lately. This is a great sign. That's number 9 for Bryant.
And the Cubs lead by a run as Castro pops to Kendrick. Chris Bryant getting this crowd going after 3. It's 2-1 Cubs.
How far did it fly? The distance of that Chris Bryant home run, 395 feet. Push the Cubs out in front 2-1.
So Turner was at the plate when the top of the third inning ended. Yasiel Puig was picked off second by David Ross. Ball hit foul. I've gotten a bunch of tweets about Turner saying, doesn't he kind of remind you of Anthony Rizzo in terms of his stance? And that's an interesting comp because you don't normally compare a right-handed hitter to a left-handed hitter, but you see that back foot's pretty close to the plate. And a bigger leg kick.
Hands are in a similar position.
Yeah. Maybe that's the secret to his turnaround. Who knows?
We'll have to go back and find some video from his Met days.
That looks a lot like Rizzo. Called strike three. On the inside, looked like had some cutting action on it.
Rizzo wouldn't use the big leg kick on 0-2. Well, speaking with Joe Madden before the game, he liked Travis Wood against a number of these Dodger hitters. Thought he was a good matchup.
Gonzalez.
One of the things he pointed out was that Justin Turner, even though he's a right-handed hitter, is a lot better against right-handed pitching. There's a little more uppercut in his swing.
The setup, though, looks very, very similar. Yep. Good call, fans. I remember the old story. Ted Lilly, as Gonzalez pops out, at one time was watching a Braves game on television in his hotel room. And he was watching John Smoltz pitch. He watched the game in the mirror to see what Smoltz's mechanics would look like left-handed. That's a very Ted Lilly maneuver, but
it's a very left-handed maneuver.
It's interesting. Welcome back, our Chicago area viewers. After that weather update, here's the 0-1 on Howie Kendrick, and hit hard on the ground. It actually kicked off the mound. It gives Castro time, and he throws him out. Wood with a 1-2-3 fourth inning. Cubs lead 2-1. An official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Remember FDIC. Chris Bryant with his first major league opposite field home run. And the Cubs lead 2-1.
Yeah, well, he hit that grand slam in Cleveland the other night. Again, it was off a pitcher or outfielder, excuse me, that was pitching in a blowout game, so we don't want to make too much of it. But it's a 450-foot and change blast to straightaway center, and middle the other way. That's where he needs to be. He can react and turn on a pitcher and hit a hanging breaking ball to the pull side, but the reputation, what we've heard, what we saw in spring training and early this season, even though he wasn't hitting the ball out of the ballpark the other way, was the ability to drive it the other way. It's one of the things that made him stand out.
Norfield walked in the second. Pitching, especially starting pitching, because of the windup. A few relievers use the windup, not many. On a bounce, Kendrick backed up a little bit. It's just so fun to watch different pitchers, particularly the cream of the crop guys, and just how different their mechanics and their delivery happen to be. I don't even know how you would start to teach this delivery.
No, and I'm just surprised there's not a whole lot of people trying to mimic it because of the success he's had.
We got some funky colors going on in the sky. I don't know if that's just a beautiful look at dusk, or if we've got some threatening stuff coming. What color would you call that?
I don't know. I don't know what I would call that. There's a little pinkish hue in there.
Yeah. Lavender out over the lake. Two balls and a strike on Matt Caesar. He replaced Kyle Schwarber on the roster. Schwarber was 6 games, and man, did he make an impression. Pulled foul.
Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the '86 All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 7. That's Eastern, 4 Pacific. Tuesday, July 14th. Cast your votes for your favorite Cubs players at Cubs.com. That would be 6 Central.
Hernandez will cut it off. Off balance throw dug out by Gonzalez. Kyle Schwarber, I thought he handled it beautifully. He said all the right things. And he did all the right things.
Yeah, he's a good-looking young hitter. Boy, the ball really comes off his bat. He's got tremendous bat speed. He showed us the opposite field power in Cleveland. And look at the batsmanship there on a 2-strike breaking ball. And a little serve and volley to left. Got a little taste.
In there on David Ross. His impact on this game was throwing out Yasiel Puig.
Yeah, and the key to that play was the little hesitation, too, before throwing it to second base. You've seen Puig and other players in that situation wait. The catcher comes up and immediately throws, and they're off to third base. And he had wandered far enough off that where Ross knew he could do a little pump fake, get him going back to second, and then make the throw.
In on the hands, floated in his shallow left. Hernandez with a couple of nice plays here in the 4th inning. He is homered as well. Well, chartreuse, sepia? I don't know.
Burnt sienna?
There you go.
bank, the curious bank. Well, we'll just take a little bit of our amber here, mix it in with some chartreuse. Maybe we'll
does look amber
right there.
Yeah. Cubs leading 2-1. Didn't we have a night in Cincinnati similar to this?
Yeah, well, last year that was really kind of surreal in Cincinnati that night.
And Slyke fouled out to the catcher his first time up.
Cramping in the left deltoid is what we're hearing on Yoshi Wada. So that doesn't sound too bad. And Slyke has earned a reputation of being a good, solid outfielder and really good against left-handed pitching. Slugged .630 against Southpaws last year. At .315, .415 on base. And what was a very muddled outfield situation, they had so many options out there. It created a little bit of an issue for Don Mattingly to find playing time. Matt Kemp has since been moved along to San Diego. Andre Ethier, the guy who thought everybody thought he would be the guy, gone. He's still here.
Yeah, and news today is Don Mattingly indicated that whenever Carl Crawford's ready to come back, at least for now, Ethier's going to keep that job. He's been really good. It is interesting. Those things tend to work themselves out. Everybody wonders, too many guys. Last year they definitely did. And that's why they traded Matt Kemp.
And that's why Joe Madden talks all about his 5 phases of a major league career, and you have to get to that point where you put team before self. Guys get to the big leagues, they're just happy to be there, and then after a year or two they're looking to establish themselves where they feel like they're going to be able to stick around for a while and start to make some money. After a period of years they got some guaranteed contracts, they made a bunch of dough, and now it's just all about winning. The hope is you get younger guys to that mindset sooner rather than later.
I feel like we're on another planet right now. Not in a bad way, it's just a very interesting vista.
It's rather wistful. It's a rather wistful vista. Wind's still blowing out.
Pretty hard, in fact. Swing and a miss.
Good changeup.
Step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. First of 4 between 2 playoff contenders. Kike Hernandez homered off Tsuyoshi Wada in the 3rd inning. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
2-0. So the deltoid, that's top and back of the shoulder, I believe.
That sounds right.
Hot night. Having some cramping issues is not.
Well, that's an area where
not out of the ordinary.
If you throw a lot of sliders after a particular start, you might be real sore in there. Not uncommon. You feel like you get a knot back in there. Well, this was described as cramping, which this is a little different.
Three balls and a strike. Hernandez hit a rope into the bleachers and left off Wada. And he takes ball 4. So Wood has walked 3 now since coming in for Wada in the 3rd inning. Hey, Friday, September 11th, the Zac Brown Band is coming back to Wrigley Field for their Jekyll and Hyde tour. Tickets are on sale now at Cubs.com/Zach Brown Band. Don't miss your chance to see the 3-time Grammy-winning Zach Brown Band at Wrigley Field. Again, get your tickets at Cubs.com/Zach Brown Band. Their contact group, no K. Zach Brown Band. Travis has not pitched in relief that much in his career, but this is the most pitches he has thrown. He's 41 as a reliever. Foul tip by Ellis.
Well, if I were Don Mattingly, I would be thinking, let's stay out of a double play here so I don't have my pitcher leading off the next inning. You got a lefty on the mound who's really quick. So if I get a swing and miss from Ellis, my base runner is likely toast at second. And then you'd have the possibility of the strikeout throwout double play now that it's a pitcher's count. If this thing had gone the other way, 2-1, maybe they would try to play a little run and hit here. A fun matchup here. We won't see Jake Arrieta in this series, but a lot of similarities between these teams. You know, hot shot rookies, slugging first baseman with all-star MVP type credentials, Cy Young type stuff from the top of the rotation guys. Dodgers currently in first place out west, Cubs solidly in contention. Cubs were out west, they'd be what, just game and a half behind the Dodgers. To run or not to run, that is the question.
A half a game.
A half a game?
A half a game, yeah. They've lost 30 and the Dodgers 31. Runner goes out. Strike him out. Throw him out. Double play to end the inning. That means Kershaw will have to lead off the next inning, but the Cubs will bat before that, leading 2-1.
Back from Atlanta, California, to my sweet home, Chicago.
Not an easy schedule here. 3 more against the Dodgers after tonight, then at St. Louis and the Mets. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Travis Wood. Probably more excited to bat than to pitch. Did as many opportunities as a reliever.
Let it eat, big guy.
Trying to get it all out of his system on that swing.
I'm going to get cheated. So that home run that Kershaw allowed to Bryant is the 10th one he's allowed this year, one more than he allowed all last season.
David Ross only a couple of base stealers tonight, and it kind of goes back to Joe Maddon's mantra, the thing he had mentioned the other day before a game about people just staring at a batting average and deciding what a guy's contributions are. And look, he's a backup catcher, right? He's not an all-star player, but I don't think I have to talk you into thinking that David Ross has had a lot of value this year, and I feel like defending him because some people have criticized him because he doesn't hit.
Look how many backup catchers do.
Right.
Strikeouts. And this was the dilemma that the Dodgers were faced with.
Nice play by Starlin, too.
And, deal with a possible ground ball, but they start him, get the swing and miss. Yeah, good job by Castro. Handling the hop, applying the tag. It's all about how the manager deploys these guys, too. Does he get them in a favorable matchup, put them in a situation where he can do a little occasional damage with the bat? Obviously, he and John Lester have this great pairing together.
There's a reason this is his 5th consecutive 2-year contract. Those do not get handed out to backup catchers almost ever. Russell hits a ground ball to Hernandez.
Hey, the Budweiser bleachers are back. Enhanced bleachers have a new look and feel with additional amenities and more group spaces. Tickets are on sale now. Visit Cubs.com/bleachers to buy tickets and learn more about the new available spaces and concessions.
Well, we hope everything's all right with Dexter Fowler. Maybe that ankle barking as Chris Coughlin will hit for him and keep his game's played streak alive.
Not exactly the AB you pine for with Kershaw out there, and you're a left-handed hitter, but duty calls.
So I would imagine Coughlin will play left. Probably Matt Caesar to center. Denorfia could do it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd probably throw Caesar out there in center. Long way to go yet, but what a nice win this would be, huh? Up against Clayton Kershaw, and your starter had to come out of the game after 2 innings. Piece it together out of the bullpen. Find a way to scratch out another run or two.
Called strike 3 to end the inning. Cubs lead 2-1 as we go to the 6th. $9.99 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu at Subway. Subway, eat fresh. Message and data rates may apply. Coughlin stays in and plays left. Caesar does in fact go to center, and Clayton Kershaw fouls off.
Kershaw can swing it a little bit.
He can. He has 1 career home run, and dramatic it was. It was opening day 2013. George Contos of the Giants. It was a game-winning home run to lead off the bottom of the 8th in front of 53,136 at Dodger Stadium. He went the distance on the mound in a 4-0 4-hit shutout.
That's pretty good day.
That's the one to hit.
Yeah, that's pretty solid day there. It's not Rick Wise, but it's pretty good. Alman threw a no-hitter and hit 2 home runs in the same game.
It's an all-around performance. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. I'll give a shout out to Ronnie Crawford, 79 years old and lifelong Cub fan. Edinburgh, Indiana. Never misses a Cub game.
This is Jason Mott's birthday.
What, 33, right?
33.
Ball 1. Yasiel Puig. A couple of injury notes. Had people asking questions about various guys on the DL. Jorge Soler took BP the other day. Ankle still sore, but he's going to try to run the bases, I think, by tomorrow. As Puig lines one in front of Caesar for a base hit. Neil Ramirez and Mike Olt will go from AA Tennessee to AAA Iowa. So that's always a good sign.
Ramirez faced 3 batters and struck them all out in his last outing. It was his second rehab appearance. Travis Wood at 53 pitches is done for the night. Very solid stuff. Walked 3, but they didn't hurt him.
James Russell will replace him when we return. 2-1 Cubs. Russell, and he has now passed Bob Rush for 14th on the all-time games pitched list in Chicago Cubs history, with 340 as a Cub.
Work by Wood tonight. Now Russell takes his turn. Left-handed hitter Peterson due up here, and after turn it'll be another one in Adrian Gonzalez. Be the focus for Russell.
By the way, it's a day early, but I want to wish you a happy birthday. Our executive producer Bob Vorwald a happy birthday, and my mom a happy birthday. June the 23rd is a big birthday day. And you were saying your grandfather was born on this.
Celebrate together all the time.
This date tomorrow.
Yeah. So we have one more shopping day. Extra large tall usually works pretty good.
That's his birthday beverage.
He just seems a little out of sorts tonight, doesn't he? His body language.
Yeah. And was bugging him in his first at bat. Picked off second later. He's not loving all these pickoff throws.
He's hanging onto that guard as opposed to wearing it, and he just wants to make sure that that left hand that's got that abrasion or whatever he doesn't want to tear that open while sliding. Lightning out from the distance now, out over the lake.
You know, we should probably mention is something I don't know if we've ever talked about. You batted occasionally, but you know, guys wear batting gloves. Your hands really have to get calloused up. And
yeah, the hitters.
They can get a little painful at times if they're not. Yeah. And we don't know what happened to Puig in the first inning. If he had a blister or something that popped, that can be very painful. Really take care of those hands. 1-2. Played outside.
The bullpen has been really good here for a while now. Hey, they're on their Cubby Moon. Congratulations, you Cubby Mooners.
Two to Peterson.
Oh, good try.
He's taken a couple close ones. Full count. Peterson has been a 3 true outcomes guy this season. 18 homers, 49 walks, 81 strikeouts. Grounded into one double play. Ground ball. Let's see if it'll be 2. It is. He's grounded into 2 double plays this season. Slams his helmet down. Chris Bryant gave the Cubs the lead. He'll bat second in the 6th. Home runs, providing the runs for each team. Hernandez for the Dodgers, Bryant for the Cubs. Kershaw still working. Wada left in the 3rd inning due to some cramping in his deltoid on his pitching arm. Honda Green Garage Sales event now at your Honda dealer. Travis Wood could get a win in relief. Anthony Rizzo pops it up.
Almost can't find it.
Well, he's looking for some help, and it's going to be the pitcher, Kershaw, coming to the rescue.
It's no fun for a catcher when you can't find it. Pitcher probably the last option you want in there making the play, but Kershaw appeared to be the best option. Turner saying it's right there. He would have been better off probably coming in and calling off Kershaw.
Bryant hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning to right. And we just had a bit of a power failure. It looks like several lights just went on the blink.
Pick me out a good one, Bobby.
So here comes Joe Madden chatting with Jordan Baker.
He's saying, I don't want my guys to hit without proper lighting. And Clayton Kershaw saying, let's go, man, we're good to go.
And Kershaw saying it's fine, and Joe's going, yeah, I'm sure you would think that, but.
Well, and it's good gamesmanship here, too. Even if Joe feels like it's good enough to hit in, if there's a delay of any length, Kershaw may possibly have to come out of the game or just knocked off his rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what would be your guess here that we're at about 75% capacity with the lights?
I would say, yeah,
maybe a quarter of them are out. Definitely has dimmed. You know, like you walk into a room, you've got a dimmer.
Yeah.
Just maybe lower it a couple of millimeters.
Nothing the guys haven't played on in minor league parks their whole careers. I'm not saying Joe's wrong in doing this, but it's certainly bright enough to continue on.
And I also think that if we continued like this, if all of a sudden there's a surge and the lights go on or they all go off at some point, you don't want that to happen in the middle of a pitch. This is interesting. And we could have some rain at some point here. We are in the 6th inning, so this game would be official. Carl Rice, in charge of stadium ops, and Roger Baird, the head groundskeeper, are out to update Jerry Meals on what's going on.
Cue the joke writers, and the Cubs aren't paying their electric bill jokes. This date in history, 1951, a power failure at Forbes Field delays the start of a game with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, that would have been the Brooklyn Dodgers back then by 2 hours. Rain holds up play in the 6th inning by another 36 minutes, pushing the end time to 1:56 a.m. So we're going to be here a while.
Don Mattingly has not said his piece yet. He's just kind of waiting as the umpires gather. And now he'll ask what's going on. See, I don't think we can continue, JD, until the lights are at full capacity, because if something weird happens here, I think you're asking for a possible protest, aren't you? Whatever
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You know.
I mean, I think, if you think about it in terms of a rain delay, when there's rain before the game, it's in the hands of the home club as to whether they're starting or not. Once the game starts, it's up to the umpires as to whether to play through rain. So I don't know if the same thing applies here with partial light outage, if the umpires then have to make that decision that it's their call whether to play on or not. And obviously they're going to talk to Carl Rice and find out exactly what's going on. As you said, the big fear would be, all of a sudden the place just went dark in the middle of a pitch. That would not be good. Or any significant change in the playing conditions that would favor one team versus the other.
Well, based on the body language, it looks pretty clear that Clayton Kershaw's thinking, let's go. And I don't know if he's going to get his wish.
Let's play on.
So the umpires will gather yet again. The other question is, will they have to power down the lights to then turn them all back on? I don't know the answer to that. I do know on certain tennis courts, once the lights go off, it takes 15, 20 minutes for them to warm back up.
When we were kids,
I'm not an electrician. I don't know.
Yeah, when we were kids, if you took a hockey stick and you hit a light pole just right, and those wooden telephone poles, you could knock out the light. And that was always fun, and then it'd come back to life a few seconds later. Well, one thing we haven't tried, let's do this. Clap on. Yeah, that's not working.
Not working. Well,
yeah, and the one thing I don't know is if Joe's ever experienced anything like this in the past, and that maybe is why he's out there.
it looked like Jerry Meals just said it's a judgment on our part.
Kind of like the rain delay thing, playing through the rain.
And if this is simply a judgment call, then they've made their decision. And Joe can argue as much as he wants.
I want to protest, and then Jerry Meals is telling him you can't. Joe said, why can't I?
Right, because if it is a judgment call, then yeah, you cannot protest it.
It's not a rules violation in the umpire's interpretation. And this is really interesting that they've said, let's play on, and they're allowing Joe this much time to make his case. Because if I'm Don Mattingly on the other side, I'm starting to get a little steamed right about now with my Cy Young Award winner hanging out there on the mound.
This feels a little bit like a filibuster, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's exactly what it is.
Joe might know that he's going to lose. And he's going to argue until they won't let him anymore. And I think Joe's saying what we said before. You're going to wait till another one goes out, and then what? Could this also be that, hey, we're in the bottom of the sixth, the Dodger batters got the full lights in the top of the inning, and now my team has to bat against Clayton Kershaw without full capacity?
He could be making all those points, and again, I think it falls back to the umpires whether they make the judgment that's good enough to play, kind of like you would. Maybe it's raining a little heavier during your inning in the field than the other teams, and you're at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, you're right about Don Mattingly.
And maybe there's some weather coming that Joe's trying to extend this thing to get the rain in here, because he's got a 2-1 lead in the sixth inning, and his starting pitcher only went 2 innings tonight. Something came down on the phone.
There may be a protest here, and again, he may not be allowed to do it.
Yeah, I think Davey just called somewhere to check on as to whether he could protest or not. Jordan will go out. Check with his mates. Jerry Meals is the crew chief. He's out there at second base. That's who Joe was engaged with earlier.
By the way, we could be wrong on everything we're watching, but I love trying to figure out lip reading and all that stuff. I believe Joe is asking if he could protest. I'm going to make the call.
Yeah, I think that's the last bit here.
Yep.
I think is that, and maybe that Theo's on the phone with somebody with the league or the commissioner's office.
So we've been in a delay for about 10 minutes. And now Jerry Meals, where's he going?
Kershaw's starting to get hot.
Looks like Joe's saying something to the effect of, I'm protesting on the basis of, and it might be.
Yep. The P.
So the protest has been lodged, and I'm guessing on the grounds that the Cubs are batting at the time. And this didn't happen before a full inning started, or is it simply that he doesn't think we should still be playing at all?
I think he's protesting the fact that the umpires have the call on whether to play on or not.
So we do continue. And ball 2 on Chris Bryant. The delay was 10 minutes. That was really intriguing, wasn't it? How many times did Joe speak with Jerry Meals? About 6 times.
Yeah, and like he may have legitimate concerns, but I think there's also a piece of it that he had a chance to upset Kershaw a little bit.
Ball 4.
Appears to be a little out of sync, does he not?
So a 1-out walk, and it'll bring up Castro. Looks like some of those lights are coming back on.
Astro hit the ball sharply first time up, lined out to center field, and popped to second base. Good aggressive hack at that first pitch heater there from Kershaw.
Curve didn't curve. And it's 1-1. One and two. On the ground, Hernandez will scoop. And they're only going to get 1. 2 outs in the inning. By the way, the fact the Cubs are leading is pretty irrelevant in terms of the protest. The idea would be if the Cubs end up losing this game, they would then hope to have their protest heard. If they do win the game, then it becomes moot.
They just withdraw the protest. Game over.
We're not back at full capacity with the lights. We're very close. On a bounce to Turner. He'll get Denorfia. To the 7th. 2-1 Cubs.
shine. My one solution is my queen, cause she stays strong. Yeah, yeah. She is always in my corner, right there when I wanna. All these other girls are tempting, but I'm empty when you're gone. And they say, do you need me? Do you think I'm pretend? Do I make you feel like cheating? I'm like, oh, that's really cause, oh, I think that I found myself a chair.
Cheerleader by a band spelled O-M-I. I don't know how they say it. But that's our WGN Cubs. Fan camp, Pedro Strop against Justin Turner. Look out. Up and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Great to have with us Notre Dame head football coach Brian Kelly in the booth tonight. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. You can't beat the night. If we keep this weather away from us, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
That would be nice. You see the numbers for Pedro Strop. Cubs with a 1-run lead here in the 7th inning. Each team with 3 hits and a home run. That's right down the middle. And a strike call. So you've got a game at Fenway Park.
We do. Yeah. I mean,
that would be fun.
It's, you know, to go in some of these iconic venues like a Wrigley Field or Fenway Park, we've tried to find those kind of venues. Chris
Denorfia makes the catch.
Does that help recruiting at all? Can you help sell a kid? Can you play a game in Fenway Park?
I think just the overall trying to get around the country. You know, we have Irish Catholics in Boston. They like Notre Dame.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's just a matter of trying to get around the country. We have so many different opportunities to play around the country. So I think it's just trying to get into those different venues.
And prospects for the upcoming season?
Well, we returned 20 out of 22 starters. You know, we really feel good about the depth of our team. You know, I really believe this is probably the first time that since I've been at Notre Dame that we've got the depth necessary to sustain ourselves. We got banged up last year, lost some games late, came back with a great win against LSU in the bowl game. So we feel really good about this year.
Cub fans very familiar with Jeff Samardzija.
Yes.
Who's back in Chicago with the White Sox. In your career, how many two-sport guys have you had? Have you had a lot?
No. Torrey Hunter Jr. Plays for me. His dad, obviously, with the Minnesota Twins. Plays some center field for our baseball team and plays slot receiver. So very few, but they have to be gifted players.
There's the 2-1. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, I know there's a kid playing baseball down there. There was a pretty good high school football player down in Texas, too, Kevin Biggio.
Yes.
He probably could have played, huh?
Yeah, oh, no question.
Yeah.
Kevin, a great athlete, obviously, his calling there. You know, great bloodlines there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's had a great year in baseball, and I think that's definitely where he's going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Full count on Adrian Gonzalez with Notre Dame football coach Brian Kelly. Cubs leading 2-1 in the 7th. Gonzalez held for ball 4. Do we like the playoff?
I do. I think we're at the right place. You know, there was a lot of excitement with it last year with the 4 teams. Look, who knows where that's going to go, but I think it's a great start to get college football playoffs. And I think it answered a lot of the people that wanted to see that playoff structure. I think it answered a lot of the critics, and it got the right players. The right players were in that in terms of the teams, and I think it worked out well.
There's Howie Kendrick. He's grounded out twice.
So doing my due diligence, you were an Assumption College guy.
Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Went to school there, played football there. I went back and coached there.
I did.
And you actually coached a little softball there, too, did you
did.
not?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, did you have any baseball in your background? Did you play a little bit?
I played baseball, yeah. St. John's Prep in Danvers, Mass. Loved the game. It's one of my favorite games. You know, in football, you don't have much chance to really watch the game. I love it. You know, we have some time off in July, and I love going to the ball game and love watching the game. I love the strategy behind it. Love the National League in particular.
2 strikes on Kendrick. And he chops one foul. Now, I'm from Shepherd, Michigan, about 5 miles south of
Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, I went to high school with Chad Darnell, who was quarterback at Central. Gosh, probably
just before me.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the late 90s. The program there at CMU. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, 2 outs. So it's the same game, right? But whether you're at Assumption or Cincinnati, Central Michigan, Grand Valley State, Notre Dame, I mean,
yeah,
wake up the echoes.
Well, different ball game, right? In terms of the exposure and everything that goes into it.
Well, there's a lot more distractions, and you get pulled in a lot more direction, and you have to stay focused on really what the job is, and that is to develop your players. And I go in every day thinking that I'm at Assumption College, because if I went in there thinking I was the head coach at at Notre Dame, I'd jump out my window. You know what I mean? You have to focus. Stay focused on the process.
Ethier went around. He's batting for Van Slyke. Pitch just off the outside corner. So low and slow. It's a short song, even if you take your time.
That's what I understand, and a lot of it is how our fans are going to interact.
That's right. Yep.
If they're fast, I got to be fast. If they're slow, I'm gonna take my cue off our fans.
They'll help you.
Well, I've got a great organist, so I'm going to rely on him. And you can wave the microphone if you get in any trouble.
Oh yeah, just always just lean on that.
And of course, the bar is really low for coaches. Right?
I would say yes. If you're asking for an honest answer,
yes,
I would say that's the
We don't need to name any names, so we know our bars.
Swing and a miss, 2-2.
So I'm assuming that at some point back on campus, video this is going to show up. At practice, your guys are going to see this and they're going to give you the business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll get it right away too. Yeah, we got a lot of guys that follow the Cubs and a lot of Chicago guys.
Swing and a miss.
Perfect way.
Time now for the 7th inning stretch with the coach, brought to you by Budweiser.
Take me out to the ball game, Notre Dame football coach Brian Kelly.
All right, Cubs fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
The Cubs have the lead. Matt Caesar against Clayton Kershaw. Swinging foul strike. Joe's bunt pulled the bat back in time, however.
Not a bad idea for a guy that can run a little bit. And one strike bunt attempt. Usually the defenders back off a little bit after one strike.
There's a drive deep to left. Ethier will watch it go.
That, however, is a far better idea.
Matt Caesar with his first homer of the year, the third of his career, and it's 3-1.
See a very frustrated Clayton Kershaw as Caesar gets the head out in front of that slider. That's our Mazda replay. Great swing of the bat by Caesar. Mazda, conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way.
David Ross, strike one. Bryant and Caesar have homered for the Cubs. Hernandez for the Dodgers. Wind blowing probably as hard as we've seen it all night, straight out to center right now. Got to be upwards of 27, 28, maybe 30 miles an hour. Swing and a miss on a changeup. Look at that. Welcome back, Matt Caesar. Just back from Iowa. Oh, hey, get out there and face Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah,
all right.
The starting is, I don't want to go back to AAA campaign.
Ross strikes out. Well, you said it earlier, and I agree with you. It looked like Kershaw was going to easily get to double digits tonight. That's number 8. And he may not get to 10 for a 4th straight start.
Well, he's due up third in the top half of the 8th inning, and trailing by a couple runs. Don Mattingly's going to have to hit for him.
Jonathan Herrera for Stroke. Swing and a miss. Adam Liberatore up in the Dodger pen.
Well, for those who are paying attention to the Cubs in spring training, Matt Caesar had a very nice spring and was doing some slugging out there in Arizona. We talked a lot about the work he did this winter, retooling his swing.
Fantastic month of March.
4 home runs down at Iowa, had a .457 slugging percentage, and he has been driving the ball more.
Swing and a miss on a curve. That's 9, so Kershaw 1 away from that magic number of 10. And for our Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? The distance of a Caesar home run, 411 feet.
The wind pushed that one a little bit, but he got that one awfully well. I'm thinking that ball's out of here. At least in a neutral wind. Wind blowing in might have knocked it down.
Bounding ball foul off the bat of Addison Russell. Strikeout and a ground out. Gonzalez makes the catch, and the inning comes to an end. It's 3-1 Cubs after 7.
Go at it. 120 first pitch. Come see Paddington and Clark celebrate Paddington's birthday. Paddington pictured there. First 10,000 fans will receive a coupon good at local retailers for $2 off a Paddington Blu-ray combo pack. Purchase tickets for the game. Visit Cubs.com.
Just as the rain has started to fall, Hector Rondon takes over on the mound. Matt Caesar with a home run to left to make it 3-1. Hernandez with a home run early, the only Dodger run. So this could be a Jason Mott save opportunity in the 9th evening. Justin Grimm is up in the bullpen currently. 2 balls and a strike, 98 on the gun from Rondon.
5 scoreless from the bullpen so far here tonight. Travis Wood in position to claim a W here. He went 3 1/3, allowed a hit, no runs. He walked 3, struck out 4.
Bounced right to Bryant at third. Yasmani Grandal for Ellis. As you mentioned, he's put up some big offensive numbers. He had 2 home runs last night against the Giants in LA.
Also had a bunt single. Switch hitter. These numbers are all-star worthy.
Yeah, how many guys have a bunt single and 2 homers in the same game?
It's a pretty good day.
Off the plate inside.
.288 as a left-handed batter, .208 from the other side. Ooh, good late movement. Didn't get the call. Where was this one? Borderline high. Ross made it look better. He's pretty good at that. Guerrero kid's on deck. He's been their secret weapon. He's been something in the pinch.
He got him. 2 down here in the 8th.
A little different look from Hector Rondon the last couple times out. Hey, there's Urban Meyer. He's a football coach over in Columbus, Ohio, for the Buckeyes. Hector's been throwing some change-ups. A little slurvier breaking pitch there to finish Grandal. The intensity of the rain has backed off a little bit. David Ross checking his cheat sheet on Guerrero. 7 out of 21 as a pinch hitter with 3 home runs.
Rookie of the month for April. You're not supposed to be that good off the bench when you're
right.
a rookie.
Yeah, it's the domain of aging veterans who can still swing it a little bit.
He had 26 at bats in April as he lines to Castro, but he still hit .423 with 5 homers. Rondon goes 1-2-3. Cubs lead 3-1 late.
If you ride your bike, there's a bike check. See it pictured there. Corner of Clark and Addison. If you drive your car, there's free parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. That's at 3900 North Rockwell. For details, Cubs.com.
Clayton Kershaw done after being removed for a pinch hitter. Yasmani Grandal stays in and catches. Left-hander Adam Liberatore is on here in the 8th.
Liberatore, 2-1, 275, working for the 25th time. He's been tough to hit. Just a .171 batting average, and that whip well below 1 gets your attention too. Fastball, slider, change.
You take Liberatore or
I do.
fish oil?
Yeah.
Okay. Fans getting into it here late.
Dodgers kind of holding form here. They have been far better at home, not just in terms of record, but as you might expect in terms of runs scored, a lot better in their home ballpark, even though that is a good pitcher's park. Under 4 runs per game on the road, better than 4.5 back at Dodger Stadium.
Yimi Garcia, a right-hander, up. Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Ogden forced into action tonight due to injury to Dexter Fowler, and it did not go well for Chris. For 2 with a couple of strikeouts.
On his birthday, yeah, might. It looks like we'll get a save opportunity. The score stays the same.
Liberatore, 28 years of age. He paid his dues a long time in the Rays minor league system. Finally getting a crack here at the big league level.
This has been a weird rain, hasn't it? It's come down in sheets for like 30 seconds, and then it's.
Well, yeah, and the fact that they didn't bother pulling the tarp out when it was raining pretty hard there initially kind of led you to believe that it was going to come in fits and starts, or whatever that term is. Kibbles and bits.
1 ball, 1 strike on Anthony Rizzo. Paid crowd 35, 147 here tonight. Fly ball. Peterson will track and catch. 2 outs. It'll bring up Bryant. Did not have a hit over the weekend in Minneapolis, but his second at bat tonight gave the Cubs the lead with a right field home run. 2-run shot.
Story of the game. 2 big swings of the bat by the Cubs. A big base running mistake by Yasiel Puig. Not sure if anything would have come of that inning at that point, but one of their best hitters up there with a couple of men on base when he got picked off. Stood back nicely on that breaking ball. Wasn't a great pitch, but still, you got to hit it.
The 0-1. Close, but outside. From the stretch, inside 95. With some bite, 2-1. Phillies have gone into Yankee Stadium and beating up on the Yanks, leading 11-6 in the bottom of the ninth tonight. Toronto beat Tampa Bay 8-5. Detroit leading at Cleveland 8-4 in the ninth.
Oh my!
He's going to hit his second. Gone. Four to one.
I was just a day early.
Yeah, you had.
Yesterday, I was all over Chris Bryant. I thought he was going to have a big day yesterday. It did not happen for him, but today, looking awfully good. Slow breaking ball last time. This time, look how quick he explodes to that fastball. Weight stays back, pops the hips, throws the head.
Nicely done on the other end. That's how you do it. Pitching change, 8th inning, 4-1 Cubs. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. It's actually streaming live sports, but I said live streaming sports. Did it work?
It works.
Okay. Yimi Garcia is on to face Starlin Castro.
First 2-homer game for Chris Bryant. Fans responding. And away from the rookie. Oof. He's got a little different delivery. Drop down, drive off that back leg.
Will not be the last multi-homer game of Bryant's career, but it is his first. The victims to start his career: DeGrom, Murphy, that was the grand slam the other night, Loesch, Barrett, Roark, Robles, Locke, Despaigne, Kershaw, Liberatore. 10 career homers for Chris Bryant. Castro went down to a knee as he pops into shallow center, and it'll be Peterson to end the inning. 3 homers tonight for the Cubs. They lead 4-1 as we head to the ninth. than just the bat. Remember, he had that big hit against Kansas City to win the game a few weeks ago, but it's been his defense, his game calling.
So that's a play I was talking about there, the heads-up play to pump fake and then read Puig before making the throw to second base. Caught stealing. He's had a couple of big pickoffs, including a game ender earlier this year over in Washington. Good stuff from the veteran backstop. And now the birthday boy in here to close it out. He's on a very nice roll.
And this will not be easy. I mean, you got a 3-run lead, so that's the good part. But you've got Puig, Peterson, Turner, and then Gonzalez, Kendrick, possibly. Puig fouls into the upper deck. Time for Southwest Airlines. How far did it fly? Distance of the Bryant second homer estimated at 412 feet.
We have Caesars at 411, so they can have a debate, a healthy debate over that.
1-2 on Puig.
Comfortably 95 and quite often 97, 98 of late.
Castro comes on in and he'll get Puig.
It's games like this that make you want to rethink the whole pitching situation, right? The string of relievers, it's awfully tough for hitters when they don't get repeated looks at the same guy. We talk a lot about pitchers third time through the lineup. Well, checking out my scorebook here, and I think the only hitters in this game that have seen a pitcher multiple times, Puig had 2 plate appearances against Wood. Kershaw, I believe, had 2 against Travis, and that is it. Nobody else has had more than 1 plate appearance against any single pitcher in this game.
It's a great note. No, you're not going to want to get 7 innings every night. You can't out of your bullpen, but yeah, it works tonight. That ball thumped. Deep center. Gone. Jock Peterson.
Well, the rookies have impressed here tonight. Bryant with a 2-home run game, and now Peterson puts a charge in one to tighten it up a little bit.
His 19th of the year. 4-2.
He stays long through the zone with that swing. A pretty stroke, and Mott's scoreless streak comes to an end. It's a long swing. There's a lot going on there with that big leg kick, but if he catches up, obviously he can do a lot of damage. No, but you do hear people out there in the sabermetric community talk about, what if you just rethought the whole thing with pitchers instead of having starting pitchers? You just had a passel of guys down there that could give you a couple of innings every other day or every third day. You could even rotate them down through the minor leagues.
Well, some of it is debatable, but the idea of guys knowing what their role is. That's one of the first things that comes up.
Yeah.
Secondly,
no, I'm talking about a revolution. I'm talking about starting in the minor leagues and changing the whole program.
I'm just telling you, as you know, why there's so much pushback.
Yeah.
Because of the way things have been done.
Yeah, and
I'm not a starter. You have a reliever.
Yeah, and I'm not proposing it. I'm just saying it's a night like tonight that would make you go, it's interesting. It's tough to manage your roster, and you'd have to dip down into the minor leagues a lot over the course of the season because guys would get tired.
And I would have one other concern, and that is if you use 6 to 7 pitchers every night, are you risking the idea that 1 or 2 guys is just not going to have it that night?
Yeah, and I'm saying in this model, you wouldn't say, here, you've got 2 innings no matter what. I'm just saying the idea of multiple arms.
Maybe if a guy's going well, you stick with him for 2 or 3 innings and say, okay, you're off tonight.
Yeah, and to an extent, the game has evolved that way to a great degree anyway, with managers getting guys out second time through the order, even when they're going good. Okay, good job. You gave me 5 2/3, third time through the order's coming up. Let's move on.
Hit pretty well the other way, but it's caught by Denorfield. But you know what I think would have to happen for that to actually occur? They have to change the win stat.
The agents wouldn't be happy.
If you got rid of the 5-inning requirement for wins, you might get more people to be in on it. So 2 outs.
Enough of this esoteric conversation. We got a ball game to win here.
Gonzalez, the batter. Tying run is on deck. That's Kendrick. Chop foul. Line center field, a little slip by Caesar. I don't think he would have caught it. You see the divot there with the wet grass. So it will bring the tying run to the plate with the wind blowing out. Dodgers not done yet.
Well, important at bat. Spazio wants to make sure everybody knows exactly how they want to go after Kendrick here.
Well, if you are of the superstitious type or believe in jinxes or whatever, I'll drop one on you here. If you want Howie Kendrick to hit an infield pop-up to end the game, I'll drop this. He very rarely hits an infield pop. Howie Kendrick is Joey Votto-like in that regard. Line drive hitter. I think his infield pop-up rate is like 1% this year. Well, I dialed up a double play ball.
Yeah,
Peterson earlier, so we'll see if it works.
No doubles in the outfield. They play him as an off-field hitter and deep. He represents the tying run, obviously, and him getting into scoring position.
Gonzalez will not be held on by Rizzo. Foul strike. Ground ball, Russell to his glove side. Cubs win. Cubs win. Happy birthday, Jason Mott. He gets the save. Did give up the home run, but smiles all around in the Cubs dugout as they head on out to the field. Chris Bryant feeling good after a 2-homer night, and the Cubs beat Clayton Kershaw tonight.
Boy, that's a nice win. You looked at the pitching matchup, even though Yoshi Wada was really good last time out, you knew it favored the Dodgers with Clayton Kershaw. Not only that, you only get 2 innings from Wada. Despite that, the bullpen stands tall. 2-3 real big swings of the bat, and a nice win here.
They got the power, they got the speed.